So in this video, we're going to be working on solving linear equations. Linear equations just mean that you're going to have one variable. So you'll have one x, one y, one a, w. Solving equations deals with inverse operations. So you'll see here that the inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of subtraction is addition. So to undo addition and subtraction, you use the inverse, use the opposite one. Same thing with multiplication and division. The inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. So let's do some examples. So my first example, 6 equals x minus 1. I always want to get the variable by itself. So here is where I have my x. So I need to move over negative 2. Well, that's the same thing as subtract 2. So how do you undo minus 2? How do you undo subtraction? Well, you add 2. So I'm going to add 2. Anything I do to the right, I have to do to the left. Add 2. So 6 plus 2 gives me 8. And then on this other side, negative 2 plus 2, they cancel each other out. That's why it's called the inverse. And I always want to cancel out the number that's on the same side as the x. Now that'll leave me an x. So I'll have x equals 8. You can also write this as that way. But your answer is 8. Now the way I check these by plugging in x equals 8 to the equation. So I have 6 equals x, which x is 8, minus 2. Well, 8 minus 2 is 6, so 6 equals 6, which means yes, x equals 8 is my answer. Next one, 12y minus 11y equals 5 plus 7. So before I can go to do inverse operations, the easiest thing is going to be to combine like terms. So combine like terms, CLT, combine like terms on the left and on the right. Well, on the left, I have 11y, or 12y minus 11y is going to give me 12 minus 11 is going to be 1y. And on the right, I have 5 plus 7, which is going to give me 12. So I have 1y equals 12. I don't need to write the 1, so I have y equals 12. Now I check these the same way. I'm going to plug in y equals 12. So I have 12 times 12 minus 11 times 12 equals 5 plus 7. Check both sides. You can put it in your calculator. Yes, it does work. So the next one says determine whether or not the given number is a solution to the given equation by substituting, then evaluating. So I actually copy those directions right out of the courseware. Determine whether or not the given number is a solution, and then how? By substituting, then evaluating. Well, substituting means take what you had and plug it in. So take y equals 5 and plug it in to y. Evaluating means, well, then see if it's the same thing. So I have negative 2 minus y, which is 5, equals negative 1. Okay, so on the left-hand side, I'm going to combine those. Negative 2 minus 5 is going to give me negative 7, and then carry down equals negative 1. Well, is negative 7 the same thing as negative 1? No, that is not a true statement. So what that means is y equals 5 is not a solution. And how this is looked is you'll either say yes or no to it being a solution. Going back to this one, if you get a true statement, like negative 1 equals negative 1, that's when it is a solution. If you get, all right, the next one, negative 8u equals negative 40. Okay, so now we're going from addition and subtraction to multiplication and division. Remember we said that multiplication undoes division. Okay, so I have negative 8u equals negative 40. I want to get u by itself. So to get u by itself, I need to undo the number with the u. So I have negative 8 times u, negative 8u. That's an implied multiplication. So how do I undo multiplication? use division. So to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide by -8 on both sides because I want to get rid of everything that is in front of that u. I want to get rid of that whole part. So on the left, those are going to cancel, which will leave me just the u. On the right, I have -40 divided by -8 will give me +5. So to check my answer, -8 times 5 equals -40. Yes, that's true, so my answer is correct. Okay, next one. 7/6, if you don't see an operation, it's multiplication. 7/6 times x equals -6. Anytime you are getting rid of a fraction, you are going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means multiply by it flipped upside down. So I have 7/6. Well, to multiply by the reciprocal, multiply by flipped upside down, 6/7. Have to do it to both sides. So on the left, those are going to cancel. That's why I multiply by the reciprocal, because they undo each other. So the sixes cancel here, and the 7 cancels here, which would give me 1/1, which is just 1. I don't need to write 1x. Okay, so over there I just have x equals, all right, make that thing a fraction. Do you see anything that simplifies? On any diagonal, do I have anything that simplifies? Well, the 6 and 1 don't, -6 and 7 don't, so I just multiply straight across the top. I have -6 times 6 will give me -36 over 1 times 7, which will give me 7. So that is my correct answer. Again, you would check this by plugging in your answer to the equation and make sure it gives you -6. So look for stuff to cancel. Well, 6 and -36 would give me -6 here, 1. The 7s would go away. Sure enough, -6 equals -6. So it is correct.